Every time you open a carton of eggs, there's a pattern that feels so familiar it almost disappears. The number never changes, no matter where you go or what brand you buy. It's always arranged the same way, as if it was chosen for a reason. Most people don't question it because it simply works. It seems small, but it connects to a much bigger story about history, practicality, and human behavior. So why do eggs come in packs of 12? Why this number? Why not something more obvious like 10, or something larger for better value? The answer isn't random. It's built on systems that have shaped everyday life for centuries. Let's dive right in, right here, on History of Simple Things. The number 12 has been important to humans long before eggs were sold in cartons. Ancient civilizations, particularly the Babylonians, used a base 12 counting system because it was more flexible than base 10. The number 12 can be evenly divided into 2, 3, 4, and 6, making it extremely useful for trade and measurement. This flexibility allowed people to split goods into equal portions without dealing with fractions. Over time, 12 became a familiar grouping, appearing in systems like timekeeping, with 12 hours on a clock. Because people were already comfortable using dozens, it made sense to apply that same structure to everyday goods. When eggs started being sold in standard quantities, 12 wasn't just convenient, it was already deeply built into how people understood numbers. One of the strongest reasons 12 became standard is how easy it is to divide. A dozen eggs can be split evenly in several ways without leaving leftovers, which makes it practical for both sellers and buyers. In early marketplaces, this mattered a lot. Sellers needed a way to quickly portion goods, and buyers wanted clear, predictable quantities. The number 12 allowed transactions to happen smoothly, without complicated calculations. Instead of dealing with uneven amounts, everything could be divided cleanly. This reduced confusion and made trading more efficient. Over time, people naturally preferred numbers that made everyday tasks easier. The more useful 12 proved to be, the more it became the default choice for organizing goods. Egg production itself also helped reinforce the dozen. Chickens lay eggs regularly, but not in perfectly controlled amounts, so farmers needed a grouping that felt practical rather than exact. A dozen provided a useful balance. It was large enough to make selling efficient, but small enough to handle easily during collection and storage. Farmers gathering eggs daily could quickly sort them into groups of 12 without slowing down their work. This made counting, storing, and transporting eggs more manageable. As farming became more organized, these habits turned into consistent practices. The number didn't come from strict rules, it simply fit into the natural rhythm of production, making it an easy and reliable standard. When egg cartons were introduced in the early 20th century, they helped lock the dozen into place. These cartons were designed to protect eggs during transport, and they were built to hold 12 eggs because that was already the expected quantity. Standardizing the carton size made shipping, stacking, and selling much easier. Stores could display eggs neatly, suppliers could transport them efficiently, and pricing became more consistent. Once packaging was built around 12, changing it would have required redesigning entire systems. That made the number more than just habit. It became physically embedded in how eggs were handled and distributed across markets. Over time, buying eggs by the dozen became a habit that shaped consumer expectations. People grew used to seeing eggs packaged this way, and it started to feel like the natural unit. A dozen is enough to be useful for cooking and daily meals, but not so large that it becomes inconvenient. It fits easily into shopping routines and common recipes, which often rely on familiar quantities. Businesses also built their pricing strategies around this expectation, reinforcing it further. Once people become comfortable with a certain standard, changing it feels unnecessary and even inconvenient. That habit helped keep the dozen consistent across generations. Other numbers could have replaced 12, but they don't offer the same balance. 10 might seem simpler because of our number system, but it's actually less flexible when dividing into equal parts. Larger numbers can be harder to handle and less practical for everyday use. 12 sits in a unique position where it is both compact and highly divisible. It works well for sharing, selling, and storing, without creating unnecessary complications. That combination made it the most practical choice when standards were forming, and it continues to hold up today. It isn't just tradition keeping it alive. It still functions better than most alternatives. What seems like a small detail is actually the result of long-standing human choices. The reason eggs come in packs of 12 is tied to how people have counted, traded, and organized goods for centuries. From ancient number systems to modern packaging, the dozen proved to be reliable in ways other numbers were not. Even as industries evolved and technology improved, this simple standard remained because it continued to work without needing change. It shows how practical decisions can quietly shape everyday life in lasting ways. And sometimes the things we stop noticing are the ones built on the most thoughtful foundations. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.